Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop and trust your intuition through the wonderful array of guests we have on the show and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Art of Intuition podcast. I am Susan Jane and yes, I am going to change the name of it very soon. The name's changed, I just haven't done the first part. But welcome to the show. Now, we've gone through the powers, okay? The powers to be. We have looked at, hang on, I'll bring this one over. We have looked at scissor energy, how we can take control, we can stop, we can restrict, we can protect, how we can trust, we allow, we open and experience. And today we're all about the experience. So that's where we're looking at today. And it's about being present to fully experience the journey of trust. It isn't always easy, but this is what we need to do to keep going. So when I look back on it, you've allowed a lot of changes to flow in your life. You've opened yourself up to some new possibilities. Now comes the most powerful step, experiencing it fully. Now, too often we get caught up in analysing, planning, or worrying about what's next. I know I'm a bit of a planner, so I tend to be sort of constantly focused on the future instead of actually enjoying what's happening in the here and now. So true transformation happens when we immerse ourselves in the present moment and trust that we are exactly where we need to be at the right time. So this is really, really important. And I guess the funny thing about going through these last, podcasts that I've been doing is they're really, I suppose, for want of another word, hitting me in the face. It's like the words and the understanding I'm getting behind them is really coming straight back and sort of saying to me, hey, what about being present, fully present in the actual time in the here and the now? And yeah, sure, we need to still prepare. And yes, we still need to reflect on the past and prepare for the future. But being present in the now is something that we can do on and off all day. So I guess one of the other areas I look at is there's times there when I'm physically somewhere and yet mentally somewhere else. Okay, this is the power of being present. Maybe you're at a beautiful beach, but you were thinking about work. Maybe you were sitting with a friend, but you were going over an old argument that you had a long, long time ago. When we're stuck in that past or anxious about looking towards the future, we miss what's happening right now. We miss what's going on. So experiencing life fully means engaging in the present. One of the things that I think it's the Buddhist monks do is when they're going to have their meal, instead of sitting there and watching TV or anything else, they sit there and they experience their meal in the fully. They enjoy every mouthful, every bite, every chew, and they experience it all in the fully. Now, I know we can't do this with everything we have in our life, but there is times there when we should be just enjoying it a little bit more. So life is a journey, and in every experience, whether it's positive or whether it's negative, has a meaning. There's moments in my life when I've had to make choices, but there was times there when I were completely present. And this particular time I'm going to share with you is not a pleasant time, but being completely present allowed me to see the positives to it later on. So the story is that I was about 19 at the time, and I was attacked. So I was walking home. I was on holidays two states away from where I lived. I was on holidays. My younger sister had already left to go back to the unit, and I was heading back to the unit. It was late, early evening. It wasn't that late. It was mid-evening, and I was walking along, and I got tapped on the shoulder, on my shoulder. And as I turned around, I was obviously king head. I was knocked out. Now, don't remember any of that, obviously. But as I've come to, I've been dragged into the back of the car by my hair. So every sense, every physical sense that I had was heightened, mainly with fear, but it was heightened. I could taste blood in my mouth. I could smell the cigarettes. I could smell alcohol in the car, to see the look on their faces and the words that they spoke, to feel the pain, I was experiencing as they helped themselves to my body. Now, what I did realize that fighting back only resulted in more bruises. So I had to step back and allow things to happen as you will. Now, what I did do was I thought to myself, I can't stop them doing what they're going to do. And I certainly don't have to enjoy or embrace the moment, but maybe I could do something to stop them doing it again. And as I sort of thought, what could I do to stop them from doing this again? In an instant, I had left my body. Now, I was outside of the car looking at what was going on. Now, when I explain this, and you'll hear stories, I've got them on the website. I've been a guest speaker in other areas and other podcasts, so you'll be able to get the full story in some of those. But when I left my body, I refer to my body as she or her because it did no longer feel like me. Did not feel like me. She was there. I saw what was going on, but I just couldn't. It did not relate properly that was actually me. Even though it looked like me in what I've seen in the mirror, it just did not feel like me. And I remember looking at her and going and seeing the blood coming down the side of her mouth where she'd obviously been punched. But I couldn't taste anything. There was no taste. The 5 physical senses are no longer with you when you leave your body. I could see in a manner, but it was different to the manner that I can see now in the body. I could see the energy coming out of the back of her hair where her hair had been pulled out and there was blood and the roots were all over the place. I could see the pain and the energy from the side of the mouth. I could see that energy, and the energy looks like, heat raising off of the road, off the bitumen on a hot day. It looked like that. It was coming out of there and out of other parts of her body that had been manhandled. So I could see this energy coming through, but there was no pain. I didn't feel the pain. I could only see it as energy. There was no longer any taste. There was no longer any smell. No feelings that matched. There was nothing in that, and it was quite surreal to watch it. It was almost like watching a movie where you didn't actually feel connected. So it was very strange. It was a very, very strange time, and I didn't quite know what to make of it. But it was when I was observing the body, and when I did look around, the whole area looked like, if you could imagine, under a full moon. So it was quite bluish in the colour. And although it was a dark night, it felt like I was under a full moon because it was lit. It was light, a little bit lighter than the full darkness. So as I'm watching what was going on, the question that I asked, which was, how can I stop them doing it to anyone else, came through to me quite loud and clear. Now, when I say loud and clear, I don't hear it as a booming voice. Like, I did not hear the word of God as a booming voice. I'm not religious, so I would not have gone that way anyway. I don't follow any religion. I don't cover that side of it. But what I did feel was this booming energy, and this booming energy was what gave me the answers that I needed. And so once I had this understanding, I ended up right back into my body. Now, as I've come back into that body, if you could imagine not feeling anything at all to feeling absolutely everything, the pain radiating out of my body in different areas, the mouth, the blood, I could taste the cigarettes, I could smell the alcohol, could smell, I could hear all their words, their disgusting behaviors and all that sort of all came back in one big foul swoop. It was so full of every single physical sense coming back and flooding in one big foul swoop. It was very, very overwhelming. But again, I had this message and this understanding. And again, I am not religious. I went to church, to Sunday school when I was in primary school. And I went, I think, for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Might have been 4 weeks, I think I went. I can't remember exactly. But I learned 2 prayers in that. And it was this prayer that I had to come back and start saying. So I started saying, "Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do." Now, I don't know if that's a proper prayer or not, but that's what I said. Now, I said it out loud. I said it loud, out loud. And every time they hit me, I said it again. Every time they tried to stop me, I said it again. Because I had got to the stage where I had nothing else to lose. And if this stopped them doing it to anyone else, then at least I felt like I had done my bit. Eventually, the hand came around the throat and the other one over the mouth until I passed out. So I could no longer speak it. I did come to in the gutter on the side of the road, and my story goes back from there. But when I'm talking about fully experiencing this journey, this coming back into the body and feeling everything, it is really overwhelming. It's really hard. It's really out there. So when we say embrace the fullness of the journey, embrace what you have now, experience it, we don't mean you have to do everything all at once. But it is realizing that the smell of a rose can be really uplifting when you're in down times. It means looking at the leaves blowing in the trees can give you this lovely sense of aliveness. You know, it's all those little things that come through. It is sitting there and enjoying a glass of wine for what it is. It's enjoying a meal for what it is. So when we say embrace the fullness of the journey, yeah, you don't have to be doing it all the time, but you do need to be aware of it and be more mindful of it because we are on such an amazing journey. So how to fully experience the process? Now, I've got 3 little things here. Engage your senses now, which is what I said. This is what happened to me. I engage my senses. Release the need to control. I released that need to control. I could not control the situation. And then find meaning in every moment. Now I'm going to break them down a little bit more for you. So no matter what you're experiencing, be fully present in it. If it's drinking a cup of tea, be fully present in it. If it's walking through nature, be fully present in it. If it's spending your time with your loved ones, paying attention to what you see, hear, feel, and taste is all about experiencing yourself in that sensation. Even in my darkest moment, my senses were heightened, and that anchored me. That anchored me to the here and now and what I could do to help, what I could do to get through it. And this, I believe, is what allowed me to survive this situation, because it could have quite easily been very, very different, a different result. So engage in your senses, and you see it when they're testing the wine. You know, they're looking, they're engaging all their system. They're looking at the color, they're looking at it, they scent it, they smell it. What's present there, and they'll taste it. They go through these situations, they go through these things because we can look at a glass of wine and say, well, it's a glass of wine, whoopee, like hopefully it's going to get me drunk. Or we can look at it and see the beauty within it, in all of those senses. And it's like eating a meal. We can see the beauty in how it's presented, or how it maybe not presented. We can taste it. We can enjoy those processes. And the best part about having a meal is often you're sharing it with somebody. So it's engaging all of those senses in just a smaller minute of time, just a small amount of time, just to acknowledge it. And that is part of that gratitude. It's like, oh, wow, look at that. I go walking every morning. I try and find something that I go, oh, wow, look at that. Look at the sun, look at the way the clouds are moving. It's just acknowledging that. And as we acknowledge that, we then start to have that gratitude. We really bring through that gratitude because you're acknowledging it. The second part was release the need to control. Now, there are moments in life when we have no control over what's happening to us. I've just experienced one of them. But we do have control over how we respond to that. Now, I tried fighting back only to create more bruises. That wasn't going to work. Me fighting back would possibly, I don't know, but possibly encourage them to keep going. So that was one of those aspects that I did not want to do. I did not want to give them any way, shape, or means of any pleasure, whatever that was for them. So I let go. I let go and I stopped the fighting. I stopped giving them what I felt that they were looking for. I stopped doing that. And as I did that, I asked that question, how is it I can help somebody else? If I can't control this, how is it that I can help somebody else? And in that, I received the answers that I needed after leaving my body. So it was letting go of what I needed to do and finding that the ability to sort of go, okay, this is how it's going to be. Now, this is an extreme case too. Don't get me wrong. There are times when, releasing the need to control could be just an argument that you're having with your partner. It could just be as simple as that. Just an argument you're having. Do you have to be right? Do you have to win? Can you release that need to control and just sort of go, okay, well, I understand how you feel. I might feel a little bit different, but that's okay, as long as you understand that. We're going through this, releasing that need to control, releasing the need to control what the outcome is going to be, and just saying, hang on. One of the other experiences that I had is I left everything to go to university. Now, I studied university for 3 years full-time and 4 part-time jobs at one stage to pay my way through it. Now, my outcome, my control, my need to control, my outcome was expected to be a job. 3 years study, I learned how to do health promotion in a public health sector. Well, 6 months after I finished my degree, the government changed hands and wiped out all the jobs. I had no control over that. I needed to do something else. Could I fight it? Yeah, possibly. Would that achieve anything? Possibly not. I needed to look at another way of doing things. So I released control and went, you know what? What is meant to be is meant to be. Bring it on. What am I supposed to be doing? And that's when I started writing my book. And that's when I started getting the downloads. So release that need to control. And then the third thing is find meaning in every moment. Now, even in those most painful experiences, lessons are there. Now, rather than resisting them, ask yourself, what is it teaching me? How is this shaping me into a stronger, a wiser version of myself? And I got a lot of that. I got a lot, not straight up, I can assure you, but I did get a lot of that. I got an understanding about life and death. I got an understanding that we don't actually die. We just change form. I got this understanding that we can talk to those that have passed. I've got an understanding that the spirit doesn't have the attachment of the 5 physical senses that we do. So there's all these things. And in fact, the reason why spirit comes into a physical body is so they can experience the 5 physical senses, because they don't experience them otherwise. It's completely different. So it's about finding meaning in every one of those moments. I swore I would never, ever talk about my attack. Unless I could find a positive way to express it, I swore never to talk about it. That, to me, I don't want to spend or spread more negative crap. That was not who I am. I wanted to talk about positive, uplifting stuff. So I refused to talk about it. I never had any counseling, never had any help about it. I refused to talk about it. That was just how I dealt with it. As I got an understanding of it, as I started to do more reading and more research and learn about this separation of body, this out-of-body experiences, it was then that I realized what had happened to me. And so I could see a positive meaning to it. I could see an understanding to it. It gave me what I needed to know. It gave me that peaceful moment. So again, it wasn't a nice experience, but it was a good experience to have for me to understand it. I left my body in that particular stage, during that attack. 12 months almost to the day, I had a near-death experience. And then a few years later after that, when I started to understand what this was all about, when I was doing my research and my studies for spirituality and intuition, then I deliberately did a astral travel, which is, again, another spirit leaving the body. So I got an understanding of all that, and that gave me the understanding of what intuition actually is. So intuition is those messages coming from the spirit to the physical body. It's how we communicate. We communicate through our intuition. That's how the spirit can understand the physical, because they don't hear like we do. Spirit doesn't hear like we do. So it was all this understanding as we went through. So when you're starting to fully experience your life, start by just engaging your senses, just acknowledging what part of this is good for you. Then release the need to control. We do not need to control things. And especially when we have no control over them, because all that does is get us upset. It's a bit like the government. Okay, we can vote for a government. If that government doesn't come in, we have to release the need to control that. We can't, otherwise that just does our head in. So we have to release that, and then we sort of look at something else that we can do. And then, of course, find meaning in every moment. It's really, really important to find meaning in it. So there is a freedom in the surrender. When you stop fighting the process and allow yourself to fully experience whatever is unfolding, you step into the flow. You begin to see every moment, whether joyful or challenging, as a vital part of your journey. So take a deep breath. Feel where you are right now. Trust that every step, every experience is leading you exactly where you're meant to be. Because that is where you're at this moment, and you are fully experiencing your journey. Now, this completes our 4-part series in the Trusting the Process. If you found these insights helpful or want a deep dive, you can explore how flower readings can help you with your intuitive guidance. Just visit the website intuitivenature.com.au and you can learn a few more there. The next episode is going to be just one, and it's all about just enjoying your life, because after all this work we've done, it's time to actually start to enjoy it. And what does that look like and how we can go there? So that's the next episode. After that, I'm going to get a little bit more into my tools, my tools of my trade, and help you with understanding and seeing your intuitive messages, because that's not always easy for people. So stay with me. Subscribe to the podcast. That would be fantastic. At least then you know you're going to get it each week. So next week is all about enjoying life, and then we'll go from there. We'll start to get into some of the tools that we've got. So my name is Susan Jane. I say thank you for sharing your life with me, and I will see you in the very near future. Bye for now.